Have you ever looked around your home, or even just your thoughts, and felt like things were heavier than they used to be? I'm not just talking about physical clutter, though that plays a part. I mean the kind of weight that sits in your chest or behind your eyes, the kind that follows you into your mornings and settles into your evenings. It's funny, isn't it? You reach 60, and in many ways, life should start feeling lighter. The kids are grown, the career is winding down or already done, and for the first time in decades, you're not chasing after a million different things. But for so many of us, that space we've finally earned starts to fill up with something else. Regrets, old expectations, and a sense of, what now? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone, and you're not doing anything wrong. Life after 60 is full of transitions. Some we welcome, and others we never saw coming. But here's the good news. A lighter, more joyful life doesn't require reinventing everything. Sometimes, it just means letting go of what's no longer serving you. Today, I want to gently walk with you through 3 things that, if you're ready, can be released after 60 to make space for something better. We're not tossing everything out or pretending the past didn't happen. We're simply opening our hands and asking, do I still need to carry this? Let's start with something that creeps in quietly and stays longer than it should, the need to please everyone. Maybe you grew up in a generation where being nice was expected, where you were taught to avoid conflict, keep the peace, and not rock the boat. And there's nothing wrong with being kind or thoughtful. But over time, constantly putting others first, at the expense of yourself, becomes its own kind of burden. Have you ever said yes when you really wanted to say no? Maybe it was an invitation you didn't have the energy for, or a request from someone in your family that felt more like pressure than support. You nodded, smiled, said, "Sure," and later sat alone feeling drained or resentful. People-pleasing is sneaky. It often wears the disguise of generosity or selflessness. But here's the truth. Saying no to someone else doesn't make you selfish. It makes you honest. And after 60, your time and energy are yours. You've spent decades showing up for everyone else. You've earned the right to prioritize your own peace without guilt. Start small. The next time you get asked to do something that feels more like a should than a want to, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of obligation? That simple question can change your life. And if you need a phrase to fall back on, here's one that works wonders. I'm focusing on what I need right now. That's not rude. That's self-respect. Letting go of the urge to please everyone doesn't mean you stop being kind. It means you stop abandoning yourself to make others comfortable. And that's a beautiful shift. Now, as we move from external expectations to internal ones, let's talk about something many of us carry quietly for years, sometimes decades. The pressure to live up to the person we thought we'd be. It might start with something as simple as a photo from the past. You see yourself at 30 or 40 and think, I thought I'd have done more by now. Or you hear about a friend's retirement travels or their grandchildren's achievements and suddenly start comparing your life like it's a scoreboard. But here's something I want you to really hear. You are not a sum of your achievements. You are a whole person, filled with stories, resilience, memories, and quiet moments that don't make the highlight reel, but mean the world. The expectations we carry for ourselves often come from a younger version of us who didn't yet understand the curveballs life would throw. Illness, divorce, grief, financial changes, they shape the path in ways no planner ever could. Letting go of who you thought you should be allows you to finally embrace who you are. And the version of you right now? The one listening to this video, still learning, still growing, that person is worthy of love and joy and new beginnings. You don't have to prove anything anymore. You just get to live. If you find that old voice in your head saying, you should have done more, respond gently, I did what I could with what I had, and I'm still here. That counts. Because it does. more than you know. Now that we've loosened our grip on pleasing others and chasing old versions of ourselves, there's one more thing that often holds us back, and it lives quietly in our homes, our closets, our garages. It's the physical clutter we've been meaning to sort, keep, or finally let go of, but somehow haven't. Let's move into that next. You'd be surprised how quietly it builds. A drawer here, a shelf there, boxes labeled someday or just in case, gifts from people we didn't want to offend, clothes from a size we no longer wear, papers we've held on to for reasons we can't quite remember. It's not just stuff, it's stories. And that's what makes letting go feel so hard. But here's the thing. After 60, physical clutter becomes more than just an inconvenience. It becomes a weight, not only in the space it takes up in our homes, but in the space it quietly fills in our minds. Every item we don't use or love becomes something we have to manage, clean around, or feel guilty about. And that low-level stress? It adds up. You might think, but I might need this someday, or this belonged to someone special. And those are real feelings. You're not wrong to be attached, but I want to offer you a gentle shift in perspective. The memories don't live in the things. They live in you. You don't need to keep your grandmother's teacups if you never drink tea. You don't have to hold on to every holiday card or old suitcase. Letting go of an object doesn't mean letting go of love or history. It means making space for clarity, for ease, for a home that feels like a breath of fresh air rather than a museum of the past. Start small, maybe just one drawer. Pick up each item and ask yourself, does this serve me now? If the answer is no, thank it, yes, thank it, for the part it played in your life, and let it go. Give it a second life with someone who can use it. You'll be surprised how freeing it feels. And you might notice something interesting once you begin. The more you release in your home, the more you begin to release mentally and emotionally. It's as if the clutter outside of us often reflects the clutter inside. Clearing one makes room to heal the other. This kind of release isn't just about having a tidy house. It's about reclaiming your environment as a place that reflects who you are now, not who you were 20 years ago. You've likely heard the phrase, aging in place. Well, that place should feel like peace, not pressure. It should be a space where you walk through the room and smile, not feel overwhelmed by to-do lists that never end. Maybe there's an old treadmill in the corner you haven't used in years, or a sewing machine you thought you'd get back into. Maybe it's clothing that hasn't fit your body or your style in a decade. It's okay to bless those things and let them move on. And if someone says, but what if you regret giving it away? Smile and remember, you're choosing a life with less regret, not more of it. You're choosing space, room to breathe, room to enjoy what you do love. The truth is, after 60, we're in a beautiful season of life where less truly becomes more. Less clutter, more clarity, less noise, more peace, less pretending, more purpose. And that leads us to something deeper. Because as we let go of physical clutter, old expectations, and the need to constantly please, we're not just making our lives easier, we're making our hearts lighter. This season of life is not about holding on. It's about becoming softer, wiser, freer. And yet, sometimes we cling to things not because we need them, but because we fear what will take their place. That space you create by letting go, it's not empty, it's open. And in that openness, new things can find you. New connections, new hobbies, new peace you didn't even realize you were craving. So, if you're standing in a room of your house, or a moment in your life thinking, I don't even know where to start, just take one step, one drawer, one decision, one deep breath. Remind yourself gently, I don't have to carry all of this anymore. Because you don't. And because you're not the only one learning to let go. We're all figuring it out together, one gentle release at a time. Let's keep walking through this journey side by side. There's something that happens when we begin letting go. Not all at once. No need for that. But little by little. Something inside of us starts to lift. And it's not just about the clearer drawers or the freedom of saying no when we need to. It's that quiet, powerful realization. I don't have to hold on to everything to be whole. Letting go is an act of trust. Trusting that what matters most will remain. That what's meant for you at this stage of life doesn't require you to constantly grip or prove or overextend yourself. That's the kind of freedom many of us have never given ourselves permission to feel until now. And when you've spent years holding things together, for your family, your career, your community, that shift can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But give it time. This is your season to release the weight that never belonged to you in the first place. Here's something you may have been holding on to without realizing it. Guilt over living your life fully. Yes, guilt. Maybe it sounds odd, but many people over 60 carry this quietly. A guilt that surfaces when we start to enjoy things after someone close has passed. A guilt that whispers, "You shouldn't spend that money on yourself," or "You've already had your time." Let me tell you right now, you don't need anyone's permission to enjoy your life. You've earned it. Not just because you've worked hard or raised a family, but because you are still here. And being alive isn't something to apologize for. It's something to celebrate. You are allowed to travel, to rest, to laugh loudly at things that make no sense, to try something new just because it looks fun. You are allowed to let go of the old rule book that says aging means fading into the background. Because that's just not true. You are not a supporting character in your own story. And this chapter, this vibrant, reflective, sometimes surprising chapter, is still being written by you. So, if there's guilt in your heart, ask yourself where it came from. Whose voice taught you that your joy needed to be earned over and over again? And then ask yourself something even more important. Do you still want to carry that belief forward? Maybe it's time to let go of guilt, like you'd let go of an old coat. One that no longer fits the life you want to live. Instead, wrap yourself in grace. Grace for the mistakes you made while trying your best. Grace for the people you couldn't save, the things you couldn't change. Grace for the years that didn't go the way you planned, and the ones still ahead, full of hope and possibility. You know, the beautiful thing about grace is that once we start giving it to ourselves, we become better at offering it to others. We begin to show up softer, more open, less reactive. We realize that no one's walking through life without scars or regrets. We're all just trying to find a little peace, and maybe a little joy too. And as you let go of the things that no longer serve you, you begin to create space for exactly that. Peace and joy. Not the loud kind, necessarily, but the kind that lives in small rituals, in warm cups of tea, in unhurried conversations, in looking in the mirror and saying, "This version of me is exactly enough." You don't need to become someone new. You simply need to come home to yourself. And if today's the day you start that journey, or even just consider it, I want you to know you're already doing something powerful. You're choosing to live lighter, to live with intention, to live with kindness, especially toward yourself. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means clearing the way for something better, something truer, something more you. So the next time you feel the pull to hold on, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is it holding me back? If it's the latter, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to set it down. And trust that something better will come into that space. Because something always does. You're not alone on this path. You never were. And the more you walk it with intention and self-compassion, the more lightness you'll find waiting around each bend. Thank you for sharing this time with me. If any part of this message spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what you're letting go of, or what you're stepping into. You might just inspire someone else on the same journey. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're building a community here, a place where we can all feel seen, heard, and supported as we navigate this beautiful stage of life. And remember, you are never too old to begin again. You are never too far gone to feel free. You are never ever too late to live lighter. Here's to you. And here's to living your best life, one gentle release at a time.